Hey everyone, I'm Katrina and I am the owner of Earthheim Landscape Design here in Lexington, Kentucky, and I'm creating this video as part of Wildflower Week for the Kentucky Native Plant Society, and which is starting this Saturday, April 10th, and running through the 17th. So I just want to show you some things that are flowering in my garden right now. And you know, early spring, it's mostly woodland plants that are going to be in flower. And this is because, you know, as there's no foliage on the trees yet. So those areas that are shaded most of the year, this is through winter and early spring, are the only times they're getting warm sunlight. And so that warmth, you know, speeds them up. They want to flower because they're getting all that energy from the sun. And a lot of times they actually will completely disappear throughout the summer months. And we will call that type of plant a spring ephemeral. And I'm going to show you a couple of those here in this video. So one thing about native plants, when you are using them in a like suburban or urban setting, many of your like woodland plants it's hard to pick ones that are going to do well in that type of setting. So many woodland plants are very specific in where they want to grow, and this is one reason why it is definitely a bad idea to not dig up plants from the wild, from the woods, and try putting them in your own garden, because so many of them are very specific to bacteria or fungi and the soil that the trees provide around it. So that's a bad practice. So please source your native plants from a good reputable provider. But anyway, I'm going to show you a few things that are flowering in my garden right now. So this is a sessile trillium, and I actually planted this last spring in my garden, and at that time it was only one stem, and now there are three, so I'm very happy with that. This garden right here, I just expanded this garden last spring and planted some more plants in here that will like dappled sunlight. And so this sessile trillium, I'm really happy that it has come back. So trillium, this trillium does not provide nectar, but it does provide pollen, and flies actually pollinate the trillium. So this plant right here is Jacob's ladder, and it is very, very close to flowering. And it seems to be a pretty hardy species. It can tolerate a good amount of sunlight or some deeper shade. And you can see here that actually have some smaller plants that have reseeded. Jacob's ladder will reseed, so I don't think anything too crazy, but of course it depends on your garden setting as to how much a plant will reseed or not in its environment. Jacob's ladder, there are some cultivars on the market. One is called like Stairway to Heaven, and is a variegated leaf form. But this here I have in my garden is the straight species, and which is one plant that I grow and sell. This is foam flower, and it is just now starting to emerge from the ground. So that shows you, you know, how while these plants are in flower, some plants are still just emerging from the ground. So if you can have a diverse amount of species in your garden, you're going to have some different points of interest even throughout the spring season. One of my favorite spring flowering plants has to be the Bluebell, which is just so pretty. The Latin name is Martensia virginica, and as the flowers are forming, they are pink, and then as they open, of course, they turn a bluish purple color. Just really pretty. The foliage is kind of thick and fleshy, which is really pretty on its own. Now the bluebell is what I would consider a spring ephemeral. Once it's done flowering, it'll set seed, and then the foliage will die back. So this flower, it is just now starting to flower. And when they fully come out, they look like chandeliers, little gold chandeliers. This is a Metaroo. I can't remember the exact species of this one, but it is a Thalictrum, a native species, and I love it because it has such delicate, fine foliage that really is very attractive and pretty, and it can provide like some different foliage interest in the garden. This is another one of my favorite woodland plants, and that's the wood poppy, and it flowers, you know, in mid-April, early to mid-April, with these yellow flowers that look like they're related to the poppy, and then they form these seed pods that are fuzzy. And in the right conditions, it will definitely reseed, but if it's somewhere where you don't necessarily want it, it's easy to pull, and you can transplant it pretty easily as well. So if you have like a woodland area, or you want to spread more of it around your garden, it's a good one to do. And lastly, here I have Phlox stolinifera. Now this is a type of creeping phlox that is native to woodlands, and I received this as a division from someone, and so I'm unsure if it's the straight species or a cultivar, but there are cultivars out there, and basically all that is changed is the flower color. So that's it. I just wanted to show everyone a few plants that I have in this very small garden bed under a small ornamental tree. My one suggestion as you're looking for spring flowering plants is to just do your research about the plant. Know what sunlight conditions it can take. Can it tolerate a little bit more sun, or does it need full shade? Its moisture requirements are definitely important when it comes to like woodland plants. Most of them are going to like rich, moist soils. So just do your research, and if you're, plant things in the right spot that are going to do well in a given area without needing too much pampering. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you all next time.